Friday, 9 April 2021. We're calling this area, which is named after the great Mahatma, the Studio Gandhi. That's what we're calling this area. And we're going to do as many outdoor editions of New Millennium Oral History Archives going forward. As long as the weather's okay and it's not a downpour, we're going to do that. So here's another short edition of New Millennium Oral History Archives in the city of New York. I'm interviewing Andre. He's agreed to, he's not a big on-camera person, he says, but he, like so many other people, has a very interesting story. He's from Brazil, has spent time, different times over the years, in the States, in New York, as well as elsewhere. And he's from Sao Paulo, and he's studying at Drew University. You can see that there. So I was talking to Andre, off camera. By the way, Andre does a lot of the camera work for New Millennium Oral History Archives. And he does the editing and sound, and he's been doing a great job.
You'll see my name in the credits.
You'll see his name in the credits. He's reminding us. He knows what he has to point out. So Andre, you're now at Drew University, New Jersey, and you're
rising senior.
You're a rising senior.
Yeah, I mean, I could technically graduate this semester. I have a lot of credits from IB, and I just decided to take way over the minimum, pretty much the maximum every semester since I got here. I'm a double major with a minor, so I'm pretty stressed most of the time.
Yeah. Well, being a double major is stressful. One can imagine. Tell us how many countries you visited.
I've visited over 40 in my lifetime.
Over 40 countries and how many continents?
All of them except Antarctica and Australia.
Antarctica is always the one.
But in Asia, it's only Middle East. Well, yeah, only Middle East and I think Russia. No, I think Russia. I went to the European side. I went to.
It's like Eurasia. So you've been on.
But I haven't been like to the Oriental side. So Japan, China, Thailand, Philippines.
How have you found life here in the States?
It's hard, but it's easy. It's hard because socially Americans are just awful. They're very socially awkward, especially from a Latin American perspective, as Brazil, Colombia. We're very, very social. We love going to parties. We love talking to people. We love meeting new people.
But I mean, Americans are that way too. I was born in Latin America. I was born in Panama.
You were born in Central America. That's where it starts to change a little bit. In the U.S. specifically, like one of the things that hit me the most is how some Americans don't like to hug. I still can't wrap my head around that. Like physical contact. I remember someone pushed me away once when I was celebrating a win in foosball.
You get that kind of distancing, and it's not social distancing. It predates before social distancing.
But
people are sort of standoffish.
100%.
Not everybody. Probably an older demographic, perhaps, or just people are just not the way they would be. Let's say in France and Italy and elsewhere in Latin America, specifically South America and many other places.
For sure. I think I've never met in my entire life, Europeans are a close second, but in my entire life, I've never met a more sociable culture than Latin America.
Right.
Especially, the norther you go, the more social we are. So Colombia, Brazil is like the peak.
Right. You're talking about the more northern part of South America. Because the northern part of Europe is another story.
Northern part of South America. Europe, it's mostly in the south. Our forefathers, our pre-ancestors, Portugal, Spain,
How long
Italy.
are you going to be in the States this time around?
I intend on getting citizenship in the States.
Oh, you plan on?
Yeah, I want to go film in theater in Brazil. That's the only place that I actually can legally live, right? Without having to go and sign a bunch of paperwork and stuff. I mean, the film industry, the theater industry is dead. There's no theater industry.
Well, when you say the theater industry is dead, you mean
there's no theater in Brazil.
Pre-pandemic?
No, pre-pandemic, like it's always been this way. People, after movies came out.
So you would say elsewhere in Chile, there's a bigger.
Yeah, for sure. In Chile,
elsewhere
bigger.
in South America, like Chile, Argentina.
I've actually lived in Chile, so I can say my whole family's from Argentina. Not particularly big either. Argentina's bigger in film. But Brazil, it's big in film.
Yeah, film.
But the thing is, the big films that come out and like win a bunch of awards, which there are good ones. There's Cidade de Deus, City of God. There's Tropa de Elite, Elite Squad, I think it's the name in English, which
some
sucks.
of them have been commercial
They're really good.
International.
The thing is, with our government, with the whole system, a lot of that is censored and it doesn't go elsewhere. Like Tropa de Elite, they wanted to give it an Oscar, and they just couldn't because our president at the time, Lula, banned it because it showed Rio de Janeiro or Rio de Janeiro in a bad image, in a bad perspective. Showed a lot of corruption, it showed police violence, it shows what actually happens in the favelas.
But the truth of the matter is there are a number of films.
Yeah.
In
the
Brazil
thing is,
that have shown exactly
in
that.
our modern day, that doesn't exist. In our modern day, after Tropa de Elite, which came out like
but what about
I think
City of God?
2008, that's
8,
not
10 years.
No, City of God is almost
12 years?
It's over 20. It was like 1999. Yeah.
Wow,
City of God is
yeah, because so many of the Brazilian families.
Yeah, but nowadays it's just comedy. It's good
You mean the
very
film that's
superficial comedy, but that's it. There's nothing else. It's not. It's not taken seriously, and also, it doesn't matter. Like in Brazil,
It's
of
probably,
course,
but I
we
don't
have
know.
that same
I don't know.
culture as in Hollywood, where attractive people are usually the ones that have more screen time. Right. But in Brazil, it's mostly love. Like in order for you to support a film industry, something in the film industry, it's not necessarily obviously contacts, but it's mostly love. It's mostly did your film actually do well? It's mostly. I don't know how to explain it better.
I've seen you on YouTube. Well, you're a professional.
Let's get to the issue that's so important. The current government of Brazil, under President Bolsonaro, and what's going on there. Is that one of the reasons that you're not planning on going back there?
No, politics in Brazil is our only downfall. We're incredibly social. You're gonna see one of the most paradisiac, I don't know. It's a paradise over there. There's so many different ecosystems, just like in the U.S. We have deserts, we have rainforests, we have regular forests. We have
right, but we know that you got the Amazon, which is the wonder of the universe. But I want to just talk to you about just briefly. We're just going to go on for 5 more minutes or so about Bolsonaro and where he's taking that country.
What I was going to say
because
is
Brazil
it's
has
not
had a
Bolsonaro.
tortured history
It's not
for a
Bolsonaro.
number.
It's all of our politicians. There hasn't been a good politician in power way before I was born. Way before I was
born. And it was sort of surprising when you said, because you also included Lula.
Oh, Lula.
You don't think that was a good stint either?
Our last 3 presidents completely incompetent.
And before that, you had a dictatorship that ran for a number of years.
Bolsonaro, everybody knows him. He's a worse version of Trump. He has no leash. He has no control. He's killed so many people during this pandemic and has shown no remorse. He makes jokes about it.
You mentioned, you mentioned that you had a relative who died today.
Today, yeah.
9 April 2021, who died in
morning,
Sao Paulo.
Not Sao Paulo. No, I think it's my family comes either from Campinas or from Santos. I'm pretty much the only person in both families that lives in Sao Paulo.
Okay. So you had a relative who died this morning.
This morning, yeah.
In Brazil. A COVID-19 victim.
Yes.
Right.
He was in the UTI for 2 weeks. He started doing better and collapsed. Yep.
And the vaulting COVID-19 rates in Brazil is just extraordinary. Yeah. And do you see an abatement, a lessening of that happening?
No, I had plans on coming back now in May. That's no longer feasible. I told my parents I was.
You mean you were going back next month, and you're not going back?
Yeah, is it April? Yeah, I was gonna go back in a little bit over a month. I'm not going anymore. My dad already sold my plane ticket. And I mean, I'm planning on going back in December. I'm planning on taking my girlfriend and showing her Brazil, but it all depends on the numbers. It's starting to do better now that Bolsonaro's accepting the vaccine. Because I don't know if you know this, but we rejected like 300 million vaccines. Like it's an absurd number. Literally, we would be like pretty much better off than the U.S. at this point if it weren't for Bolsonaro. People were offering us vaccines. We have an institution that created a version of that vaccine that wasn't pushed forward by any means.
Well, he was calling it about a year ago. He was calling it a little.
But
flu
you know why?
So
You know why? It's because of political propaganda. He's sponsored by Chloroquina, and he says that it's a cure for the for COVID-19, even though it's been proven by several medical professionals that it literally does nothing for COVID. Like literally nothing. So
let me just ask you before we wrap. What do you see the future of Brazil being? I mean, it's going to be, you know, it's a futureless situation for you in terms of there because you're not going back. But what do you see that?
I have never in my entire life seen. I've been in 40 countries. I've lived in 5. I've never in my entire life seen a country that has more potential than Brazil, and it's sad because we could be literally the world's biggest. One of the biggest poles of the world. We have resources, petroleum, we have a big agricultural business. The only thing we need is to industrialize ourselves and to take out the politicians. And by taking out the politicians and putting the right ones, we're obviously going to start industrializing ourselves. That's the first step. We can't go anywhere unless the politicians decide to change the entire political system. Like, one politician is not enough, and that's something that Lava Jato has shown us. Like, we had...
so the corruption is that pandemic?
Yeah. No, way before the pandemic.
No,
I'm saying
the corruption is a pandemic situation.
Yes,
yes. Not even an epidemic, it's a pandemic.
Yeah,
and
it's a
the
virus
country's had
that's
a
spread
tortured history.
at this point.
It's had a tortured history forever. You have so many people who were caught in the grip of grinding poverty, not just people in the favelas, but elsewhere.
Well, I mean, the favelas are they're starting to finally change that, and they're starting to build like project-based buildings. So it's pretty much exactly what you see here in the U.S. with projects.
Right,
but think of that in an extremely more massive scale, especially in Rio de Janeiro, and especially in my city, São Paulo. Those are the 2 places where they started like basically taking down the favelas. You know what the favelas are?
Well,
you know,
it's really kind of like a almost subhuman kind of.
You don't have
situation.
any plumbing.
Right.
Most of the time, you don't have electricity. They build the favelas with scrap from construction sites because a lot of the people in the favelas are people who work in construction, right? So it's literally improvised housing. But improvised housing that it's not like meant to be that way. There's a bunch of insects that claw their way through the clay houses, and they infect people with very, very severe diseases called well, I don't know
what would you say the population of the favelas are? I mean, because you have favelas. They're not called favelas. They're called favelas. That's peculiar to Brazil. But you have situations like that in Asia, in India,
not the same.
and
it's
elsewhere.
Not the
Well,
same.
People are living on swampland in parts of West Africa, in Nigeria.
It's not the same because it's more technically advanced than those countries in Asia, but it's
well, in Africa, like for instance,
it's less advanced than what you see here or in Europe.
Yeah. Of course, you'd never see anything like that here.
So the way that it's basically, think of it as a desert area in a city. There's nothing in it. No forestation most of the times.
The thing that always gets
roads
without
pavement.
I know. Can you see? There are other places like that. Just in Brazil, it's in stark relief. Here's the thing about Brazil.
It started getting better over the years.
The thing that always gets me about when you see places like that is very little opportunity for you didn't want to say upward mobility, but just the chance to to sort of connect, to be able to go to places to get a job. And just this horizonless, almost futureless kind of existence with so many people caught in a grip of that kind of, in a vice grip of that kind of, subhuman poverty.
Yeah, I mean, another big issue that we have is the education. That's something that we see a lot in the favelas. That's why a lot of people vote for Bolsonaro, and that's why a lot of people want the military dictatorship back. It's something that I
That's shocking. I told me that off camera. I just can't imagine. People wishing for military dictatorship.
Yeah,
I don't know what they're going to get out of that.
It's so stupid. It's like basically asking to be back in the Nazi party. It's pretty much that.
As I told you, we're here in Union Square on Saturday, probably for the next coming Saturday, they're going to have an anti-Bolsonaro gathering over here by Union Square Park. They had one. I don't know if it's this Saturday, but they had one last Saturday, and they may as well. And they're very likely to have. Do you see yourself? Final question. Going forward, once you get settled and you're done with your double major, getting involved in any activity, not running for anything, getting except for the border, it's an old joke, but involved in any agitation, any movement, any sort of to bring about a better future for Brazil.
It's not going to make a difference unless I make a name for myself, and that's pretty much what I'm
it's not one person we're talking about, but I'm saying joining forces.
That's what I'm telling you. Unless there is one person, unless there's someone that actively wants to make a difference, there's nothing that can be done. Like, we're talking here about destroying an entire government system against the will of a vast majority.
When you
of the
say that
population.
to people in the listening listenership, you have to explain that you feel that the level of corruption is so deep. That's what you're saying.
Yes,
and
that
it's
you
so
have to take
systemic.
out everyone in the government before putting people back on. You have to have.
You have a civil society. You have the government, and you have a civil society. You have institutions that can assist in.
That's the first step. You need to change the political institution and the educational institution, because those two at this point are just completely in the soup. They're just completely gone. It's so far gone that at this point, like, unless a big name comes and helps Brazil and actually tries to.
When you say a big name, you mean just one person?
I'm not talking about one person, but like for example, Biden, or like it has to be a big name to start a
the
movement.
EU or
if only
United
Brazilians
States?
and even like half of the Brazilians are just going out and protesting, it's not going to make any difference.
Pressure from the outside.
That's something that it's been clear. It needs to be pressure from the outside. ONU, it needs to be from other countries. It needs to come from celebrities, because at this point of age, people idolize celebrities. That's kind of what I'm trying to do. Trying to make a name for myself so that I can put out more important social issues than only issues from the United States, which are still important. The BLM movement was a huge issue that inspired many others.
So there you go. You can do that, and you can get involved in those kind of activities.
Which is why I decided to go to film in the first place. I actually wanted to be an engineer before, like 6 months before I got out.
Well, you know the great Brazilian photographer who photographed all those people working. Just it looks almost pretty historic. He's Brazilian. Sabbag, what's his name? A great Brazilian photographer who was.
As I said, in the arts, nobody is.
No, but he's known globally. And he's had these pictures
then
of
I don't
people
know.
working in the mines. His name begins with the photographer, S. Yeah. The great Brazilian, and I'm sure he's Brazilian, like you see hordes of people like an ant colony working, digging in these mines and digging for gold and so on. But he's photographed a lot of that stuff.
We don't have gold in Brazil. That's
maybe they're mining.
How old is that?
They're mining.
How old is it?
Well, you'll find it out.
We haven't had gold in a good amount of time.
But he's a Brazilian photographer.
Yeah.
Let's get this, since we're on the line, and we'll wrap it up with this. Let's see if you could.
Did you manage to turn
What's
on
his name? His name begins with an. Last name is S. Well known, if I'm not mistaken, Brazilian photographer. How much time we have? We have Kelly, who's been doing a great job. What is the name of the Brazilian? Here, you want to try to look him up? Be careful because I don't have my case on that phone. So in the meantime, so this is one of our sort of.
It died.
Here we go.
You can use my phone.
The phone goes. But we'll find out.
You can use my phone.
I believe he's of Brazilian descent, and he's taken some extraordinary pictures, well known over the years. But in any case, I think you have the energy, and you sound like you're ready to roll up your sleeves and do what you can do from outside of Brazil. So we thank you for coming on, and it's been wonderful talking to Andre, who goes to Drew University and is working with us on these various oral history undertakings that we're doing. So from New Millennium Oral History Archives in the city of New York, signing off, J.B. Morgan. Thank you.